Advisory. And I'd like to call the April meeting to order with a roll call. Cindy Berry.
Here.
Tom Olson, secretary.
And myself, Brian Kent, chair. We also have ex officio members from the town. Why don't we start with Tabitha?
I'm Tabitha Wilson. I'm the new manager of Parks and Open Spaces.
Greg Hanover, Director of Public Works.
Mark Berry, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. We also have our consultants from the firm of FHI Studio.
Hi, I'm Rory Jacobson, consultant with FHI Studio. And I'm Nicole DeTora, also consultant at FHI Studio.
And lastly, we have some members of the public here, and I'd ask that if each of you could just come to the microphone and introduce yourselves, please.
It should be on.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Kevin Burke, and I'm not a resident, but a close by resident of a nearby town, and I'm a bicycle commuter.
I'm Elizabeth Hogan. I'm a member of the Parks and Rec Commission and president of Club 55.
I'm Robert Boris, chairman of the Groton Economic Development Commission and a commissioner on the city planning and zoning, and I'm grateful for the work you're doing.
Okay, great. So we'll get right into the agenda. The next item is communications. Have there been any communications by members or staff that we should be aware of?
No.
I don't have any. Cindy?
No.
No.
And then just, I don't know if Janet has anything from the public.
Oh, and we do have, pardon me,
No.
we have one member of the public on a virtual connection. Janet, would you like to introduce yourself? You'll have to unmute yourself, though.
Janet Anderson, Andersen. I am on the board of directors of Groton Open Spaces and also a mountain biker.
Thank you, Janet. All right, next up is approval of minutes. This would be from last month, from March.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Any discussion? Second?
A second.
All right, all in favor of the minute approval? Aye.
Aye.
And minutes approved. All right, next is new business, and since I've been out of town for the last month, I'm unaware of any new business. That's why I've left it open-ended on the agenda. So
Well, just for clarification, is this, it looks like we're going to be doing something else here with the FHI folks. Is that considered new business, or is that going to just be a separate agenda item?
well, it's been portrayed to now as a separate agenda, a special agenda item. That's really more than business for our committee. It has a larger purpose than
Okay.
our committee. So
No
I think
problem.
we keep it.
I just wanted to clarify for the minutes.
Okay.
Next would be the,
I'm
Old
just
business.
making sure that we have no
no,
input from anyone on new business. Okay. All right. So the next item would be old business. And are there any town projects or any other projects that we've already discussed or touched on that any of you from the town would like to bring up?
I'll just update a couple of the projects we discussed. One is
Sure.
the Main Street reconstruction. Now I do have the consultant scheduled to come into our next meeting in May to give a presentation for concepts. And then the second project is we did put out to bid the pump track on Depot Road, the bicycle pump track. We got 2 bids. They're both over budget. So we're evaluating, what we can do to maybe reduce the scope or secure some additional funds.
Okay.
That's to be determined.
Okay. That sounds good. Is there any change or progress in any of the sidewalk infill projects that?
No, One of them is still at the state DOT for review, and the other one I have not gotten the plans yet.
Okay.
Ryan, I did get notice from VHB
Mhm.
that the state was ready to move forward with the project from Depot Road out to Thomas Road. And so actually in today's paper, there's a legal notice that we are seeking consultants to begin that project.
That's great.
Yeah.
Please clarify the funding on that project. Is it for design only or is it
No,
for
it's design
design
and
and
construction.
construction?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. While we're on town projects, then for the community connectivity project that's in the same general area, the
Yep.
Depot Road area, will any of that project take place in the near future, or will it in its entirety wait until the Sutton Park multi-use path can be constructed? Because there's parts of it that are on the
Right.
road.
Yeah.
Midway Oval.
Midway Oval over to, right,
Mhm.
yeah, so that portion of the project could start sooner than the portion of the project that's within Sutton Park.
Mhm. Okay. And that would be done by town forces, right?
Yes, yeah, and I actually talked to Chad
Okay.
on Friday about getting that section, kind of moving that part of the project moving forward.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that completes the regular monthly business for the committee, and we can go right into the workshop. If that's agreeable with you, that just gives us a head start on our schedule, which I think is fine. But we can either take longer than we scheduled, or you guys can go home.
Sure, yeah, and I think our the schedule we had given till 5:30, but like I told this gentleman earlier, I don't anticipate it going that long, and everyone's please leave when you have to. As we mentioned earlier, I'm Rory Jacobson with FHI Studio. We're a Hartford-based consulting firm that was hired by the town to help with this effort. We do quite a lot of bike and pedestrian planning, comprehensive plans, environmental planning, and a lot of mobility work. I primarily do a lot of road safety audits, so looking at how to incorporate bike and ped facilities. So this is a project we're really excited about. Just thinking about the agenda for today, what we hope to do is just go over the purpose of the plan, talk about the schedule, but then really, get our hands dirty. We brought a lot of maps, markers, things like that. We want to put you all to work and discuss the existing facilities, discuss things like gaps in the network, what's planned, what's proposed, what are kind of the preferred facilities, what are the priorities, and then maybe identify some challenges and constraints. So what things haven't really progressed as quickly as the town would like to see. So just going back to that first agenda item, we understand that the purpose of this plan is really to support the development of bike and ped facilities here in the town. I know Groton has a complete streets policy that I think was enacted back in 2021. So this plan will help move projects along and will help to prioritize projects based on need. We started probably in earnest, I'd say, the beginning of this year, and anticipate concluding by the end of the year. And I know that we have done a little bit of outreach so far, developing an online survey. I came down for a bus tour and got to see a lot of these facilities firsthand. Our scope, the elements of our scope and project management, coordination with Mark and others at the town, getting all the existing data, working with you folks, data collection and existing conditions research. So we've done a lot of review of previous plans and studies, the COGS plan, different state plans. We understand that it's really important. We can't work in a vacuum. We want to make sure that we're coordinating different projects. So that's a really big piece of this as well. Community engagement. This is probably really our first kind of what we call community engagement. Of folks have been invited to this focus group working session, but there'll also be a town-wide public workshop. There'll be other focus groups with different members of various groups. I mentioned the online survey that will be launched in both English and Spanish, and will go out to the community. So we're really trying to engage the community as much as possible too. We'll develop a complete streets network that will have a matrix of planned, scheduled, and cyclical roadway improvements that where maybe these complete streets upgrades could have some potential here. So with this, we'll develop specific measures and recommendations that can kind of help accommodate these improvements. We'll also develop some concept plans. Nicole with me here is really great at developing renderings and kind of really showing what these facilities could look like and making some really nice visualizations and concepts. We'll also develop a complete streets toolbox. So this will be guidance on what types of facilities are appropriate where, you know, based on things like traffic volume, speeds, right of way, what's available. So that's a really helpful tool that will be part of this. Then we'll develop an action plan in our final report. And the final report is something that we'll present to the public as well as kind of part of the community outreach component of this. But again, this is really our first kind of piece working with you folks to kind of dig into it and get going, thinking about the facilities. So I envision this session today is really a working session. We have markers, maps, please. We'd love to, you know, start thinking about, well, I think we can start with existing bike ped facilities here on this map and take a look. We'll be taking notes, get your thoughts. I just want to make sure we have everything down here. So with that, if we can do more of a working session.
Before we jump into that, Rory, the survey you mentioned is live
Yes.
on the town website. So if you haven't taken it, I urge you to go to the Greater Groton website and look for the bicycle and our complete streets plan page. And there you'll find a link to the survey. I think it takes 10-15 minutes to fill out, and it's a great survey. It's ask for some specific information on your preferences and your knowledge of places to improve or places that are problematic in town.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, and the survey really helps us develop the recommendations and priorities for the plan. So it's a really great piece of this. So, yeah. So we can start. So we developed maps based on existing facilities. We took a look at recommendations from previous plans as well. So I can explain this first. Folks want to come around, we can even move the tables if it's easier. Right here, thank you. So this is a map of the existing facilities. So we wanted to include open space because we know that that's a big kind of key component of this is connections to the open space access. We identify the schools.
So those. Rory, I think we're gonna move this.
Sure, yeah, wherever you
Here,
think. I mean,
this
we
has
can-
a camera and see.
Okay.
And then we'll get
Yes.
folks online can see.
Great.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can see it.
I don't have a camera. No, that's okay. You wanna turn it the other way? Where I want it is, as long as everybody can see it and read it, that's the most important to me. With the folks at home, am I blocking? No, it's upside down. Oh.
Yes.
Better, Janet?
Muted. That's fine, thank you. Interestingly, I can read upside down as well, so it doesn't bother me. So maps work either way.
Yeah, so we started off, mapping based on the town's GIS and what we were provided, the existing facilities. So this includes things like bike lanes, multi-use paths, trails, hiking, mountain biking. So we just want to make sure we have everything there.
Well, the one thing that I see that's missing is that as we have the two state designated Connecticut greenways, and those haven't been included in your mapping here. So just for long-term next generation things. We probably should include them. They are approved by the state, Greenway Commission. They're not included in that.
Sure.
So one thing just to keep a note of, those I think are on some future maps, but we make a distinguishment between, a designated route and a physical facility that is in the roadway or off the roadway. So,
I said.
no, yeah, that's fine. But if there are like other marked facilities we're missing, then.
Well, I know that it is marked, a portion of this on South Road here is marked as that's where which you mentioned earlier was the bike. lane.
Signed as a bike route?
It's partially of something in that area. That's how I route, is a bike route. But
It's
it's not, it's part going on,
it's the very old
yeah.
state designated bike route through town. It goes from Mystic all the way. Let me see, where's Mystic? Here, it goes Route 215. Lake Road.
Yeah.
All the way down.
We saw some here.
Yeah.
And the challenge for you guys is it doesn't exist on any map that the state maintains because it's so old.
But there are occasional signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts over in here and it's over in this area too.
I could mark it for you.
It varies from different locations.
Noack Road is 35. And then it goes into Haley Farm, so it goes on the state property. And then it runs down the trolley trail and it pops out and it makes its way like Tom was saying, down 649, that's South Road into the city and then disappears.
So I think it might help to show these other maps and we can kind of talk through, and Nicole, please join me too, because I know you were instrumental in making these, like kind of what we mapped.
Yeah.
You know, because we have there's a lot of stuff on here and we tried for, clarity sake, we printed a few different maps, so.
Yeah, so this like highlighted blue color that's showing marked routes, like a named
Yeah,
route.
so you can see what's up there.
So hopefully that's grabbing in that state route that we just discussed.
And then based on, so this, the pink color, for example, came from the bike ped study, statewide proposed network. From the region's bike plan recommendations, the Tri-Town Trail Master Plan, so there's, a lot of facilities, and then Nicole, you did one, we have one, sorry, based on priority. As well.
From that's.
Yep, showing existing, and then this is from the COGS bike ped map showing the high, medium, and low priority. That eastern shoreline path on their high priorities.
It seems like there's a lot of bike lanes associated with parks, not necessarily schools.
Okay.
So that's concerning to me that we don't have designated bike lanes around our schools, and yet we're encouraging kids to ride their bikes to school.
I think you're looking at the pink and the red are very similar. This is trail hiking, mountain biking, bike lanes.
Those two colors are very close.
Very close colors.
I'm just wondering like where it designates here in the key, the bike lanes, Nicole. On this map that we first looked at.
I think this is the only bike.
Yeah,
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
That's those are not bike lanes.
yeah, sorry, these are
Those are trails.
these are
The
trails.
trails, but this is a different,
That's more for red.
is this in this color match? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the only.
That's the only one,
So I
right?
guess Nicole, maybe we'll make it like a bright purple or.
Yeah. Printing issue on the computer, it's a little different.
Yeah, there's different ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
always, yeah, definitely.
This is a minor thing, but just to note, there is a weird little multi-use trail on the bowl. Greg. That's the
Ball Road?
the bowl road.
Yes.
I think it's over here somewhere. And it doesn't really go anywhere.
Marking that?
But it's there. Oh gosh, I don't know where the ball road is.
It's it was after 117, right about in here.
Oh, I go by that every day, that's.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's a multi-use path, but it's only a segment. It was because of the subdivision. Is it Dibble Road? Dibble.
Church.
Yeah, right,
I think one end of it now, is it clear going all the way through? I'm
No.
not so sure about
Yeah,
that.
it's still sort of short, but.
Yeah.
It's really nothing, but I just wanted,
Is it a fragment from an old road?
it was a subdivision decision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fragment.
that subdivision, they had to
Yeah.
construct that little section there. It's.
That's a section
Gonna
that
be very
points to the Gold Star Bridge.
No, this is,
Oh,
this is near Center Groton.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point as far as when, if you go on Tollgate Road up here, that's all, it's pointing you all the way up to, yeah, this one right in here. This is all marked from here to here to get you up. And then, but it's the signs, once you get past Route 12, this is actually 12 up here and, and then the sign stops right about there is the last sign. And then you have to figure that all out to get to.
That's my route. Right
Yeah.
there. It goes right from Tollgate all the way right over the bridge.
So this is Janet, if I could jump in. Something to consider is look at trailforks.com, which is a free open mountain biking trail app. It's on the phone, but it's also on the computer. So for example, the sheep farms, which are near the Merritt Family Forest, have trails through them that are very bikeable. That's missing. Yep, exactly down there.
That's not.
Bluff has way more than you'd think, but that's okay. I think just in terms of getting from A to B, Trail Forks can help you with some of that of, the little ones that you might not know are there.
Kevin, I was gonna ask you, is because you said you're a commuter on the trip, do you primarily, are you on road? Yeah, okay.
So.
And would you, if given the choice, if you had another option, side path or some facility in the woods or trail, would you use that over, an on-road facility? Okay.
Yes, and there aren't those big things on the road that go really fast.
Yeah, sure.
Hurt you.
Especially at Colgate.
One of the other things to consider here, so I'm the Groton representative for SEAT, the
Okay,
bus
the
service.
bus, sure. the
Yeah,
transit.
so now, right now we have a flag down system, but we're setting bus stops. We're in that process now of picking exactly, so there's some flexibility there. So maybe there's a good point of
Yeah,
coordination.
that'd be great.
If there's particular spots that synergize with some biking or people being able to do that, I'm happy to communicate with you. We're in the early stages of the seat board is sort of identifying where they want to put the stops. So we have some flexibility. to
Yeah, I
coordinate,
think
but
that's
that
great.
would be a fantastic.
That was a huge
opportunity.
recommendation of the age-friendly plan too, is bus stops and on board with seats, so it's nice to know that there's a face.
And I should have mentioned that transit is such a big component of complete streets.
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. So it's,
For any-
so,
tie that
and for
in.
years, we've been trying to get to the fixed stop system because everything is sort of waterfall from that. You get more reliable service and timing and everything like that. So it's a good,
In the seat buses, definitely, they have the front racks for those.
some do, and we can advocate for more of
More,
that,
okay.
depending, especially if we're tying into this, we can get
Great.
funding for that.
Yeah. Have you seen that be utilized a bit? Or I know in some communities that, every time you see a bus, there's a couple bikes on it. I just wondered here.
Yeah, I'm not, I just joined about 6 months ago, so I'm getting up to speed on exactly the bike usage stuff on it. But we're experimenting with other micro transit
Yeah,
vans and other things like that,
connections.
and other things, pulling people in from Mystic. For some of the tourist stuff, and also parking related issues, but. Yeah, anything I can do related to coordinating for that, I think it would be a great opportunity to make sure people have that tie-in. And the roads are nice and safe from the bike, from the area.
I'm still a pedestrian, so I have a question. This looks like it really is Pleasant Valley Road. It's described as being a multi-use path,
Yes, that's correct.
but that's Pleasant Valley.
Well,
There's a side path along Pleasant Valley.
It's actually one of the.
Well,
very few-
it actually, when they redid Crystal Road down here,
Mhm.
they actually added on a separate bike lane, separate from the Crystal Road. And that also goes along Route 12 all the way up to where Pleasant Valley Road starts. And then the bike lane is on Pleasant Valley, going all the way, the rest of the way up to
It's only
to
marked
Colgate.
part of the way.
It's marked with signage the entire way up to right to here, to toll gate.
But it's not an on-road bike lane, it's a separated side path, it's a.
Well, it's up on, along Route 12 it is, but then it's on,
Separate all the way.
It's separate all the way.
It's a separate 10-foot wide
Yeah,
path.
yeah. Greg's right. I looked at it recently. It
Okay.
is actually a dedicated side path.
I was gonna say, it's about one of the
You did
few
get it right.
sidewalks
Right,
yeah,
in this
sure.
quadrant of Groton.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
one of the few.
And actually, Pleasant Valley continues over east. I'm not exactly sure on the map how to describe it, but yeah, right around there. But I didn't see.
Yeah, well, there's a
any-
Pleasant Valley South and a Pleasant Valley North is actually added to the terminology.
That's right.
And that's at
Yeah.
Gunjiwamp. Gunjiwamp comes across here and that's where it shifts over.
You're also looking at gaps in the sidewalk network.
Yes.
While we're on that, and I understand the state is mapping that,
I believe so, yes.
so you'll be able to pull some of that in. Good.
I'm just noticing you have like the aquatic planes on there. And it's getting me to think if we're looking at,
The little rectangle.
yeah, and we calling it a trail, but it's.
It's not. It's a-
Yeah.
sidewalk.
I can't find
I
it.
think you're splitting hairs if you worry too much about.
Yeah. I'm not. You're talking about that little rectangle.
So.
And we have an aerial, so I don't know if we want to bring the aerial back.
There is, we were making allusions to a couple of new projects that we should have identified on here. One is a community connectivity project that puts on-street bike signage, share road signage on this oval.
And then we drove through this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, too much.
So it's.
So that might be on the other.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if it's on the. I don't want you to,
And like, it's in.
it would be that.
Okay.
I think to. I think to I don't see it yet. Yeah, so. How about it?
Yeah.
Can we toss it? So let's do it out. This is even an in project.
Just we're trying to get it. There, it's no part of it, and no. Sorry to pull away from it.
Let's try again.
Yeah, right.
So it's, this is Depot Road. Am I right? It's all the way to, yeah, and then it goes in.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, gonna go in, because this is,
Okay, like this.
yeah, it's gonna be there.
And then it goes through Sutton Park and connects like that, so this
Right.
is. And that. Should be a park. I call it park label. I think it was Sutton. That's a town building park.
Okay, and then this, you said, Brian, is Sharrow's.
Shows until you get into the park and then
Okay.
it's a dedicated multi-use park.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other one is the what kind of project is it? Transportation alternatives, a two-year project? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that is also overlapping Depot Road, and then it goes along Route 1, and then it comes down this next to these bike lanes. That's the TA project. The HB did a feasibility study, just so that this bill is study and it looks like there can be some narrowing of lanes and water perhaps even widening, increase some bike lanes, some share It's really, it's some places. But that helps make the east-west commuter connection that is that's like the dominant commuter route is from east to west, west to east, either across the bottom of the town or where Kevin commutes is up on 24 from Stonehenge all the way through town. Those are like the two parallel pathways that like most bike commuters or take when they're going from home to work. Of course, there's near the other groups of people are taking the local place. That's what the town, I guess, is more focused on. It's just lower tier connecting. And that's where the Eastern Shoreline path is. This is all part of Eastern Shoreline path. So, or, you know, at least to there. So that's really good.
Yeah, it's on this map.
It's on that.
There's so many schools down in the southern portion.
Right, and you've got a lot of.
In residential neighborhoods.
Right.
Right, can I ask a question? This one section right here, or you're just withdrawing right there, is that the one that, the road that comes out right by the Car place?
Yes, that's Thomas Road.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, are there other gaps that we're not seeing or that should be added to these?
Let's see. So where
I'm just
what
where
map
are
should
the
we
gaps?
be looking at to identify gaps?
Probably one of the other two, because that's proposed, that's more just like name specific.
Priority. For the
one that he has every day.
Okay, so maybe that's. And I guess if it is listed, if we can kind of think about priorities and some of these are more of a priority than others.
Well, for me, it's always been the lack of sidewalks on Route 1 from the top of the Mystic Hill, which is somewhere over here. I guess it's really the bottom of it.
That's the hill is right, the top of the hills, right?
Yeah, that's Fort Hill. This is the Mystic Hill.
there.
I guess the sidewalk connectivity ends right.
Right, yeah, right,
in
it's right there, yeah.
And from here, you have sidewalks that are gonna piecemeal their way
Sure.
into Mystic, but from here to the top of Fort Hill.
Yeah, the top of.
That's a- that's a
Yeah, 'cause you have
major
a sidewalk on this side, you have a sidewalk on this side, ends right, this, it takes you to the school here, and that's it.
Yeah, so that's a gap. There's no safe pedestrian. I guess there's a small side path.
There is a small side path that only goes a couple of blocks, or it's like one block right
Result
there.
of a small subdivision.
Sure.
Right,
Subdivision regs require, you know.
It seems like it's almost hidden though.
yeah, it's, well, it's got
It
trees
goes up
on
and
it,
down.
If you don't look for it,
yeah.
you won't see it.
The point is, you're walking in the street through here because it's so narrow.
Yeah.
The
I'd say
And it's-
also while we're talking about this section, this crossing here.
Yeah, GOSA,
Make it all.
yeah, well, GOSA has actually gone to the traffic commission and asked for that, and it got disapproved by traffic commission. Put looking, flashing, crossing, official crossing into the state. They weren't willing to take it to the state.
So whenever I come here, I, get off 95 and go down this way, then come up here and come up the big hill. And, I always think, because I've seen people trying to cross here, and it seems like really challenging. I see people walking there all the time. Yeah.
So there is
why I'm
sidewalk,
impressed with
there
that.
is sidewalk up to the top
Mhm.
and then all the way to the entrance of the high
All
school.
the way to the entrance, you can
Yeah.
walk all the way to the high
Okay,
school.
but I've noted, like, I've,
But the
felt for the
continue,
people.
but the continued
Yeah.
course will stick.
Like where
Yeah.
the military.
yeah.
And that's a tough area too, when you're coming that way and you're coming into the morning sun. It pretty much blinds you as a motorist. You can't see for like half a second.
Yeah, and it's not.
The train bridge here is awful too when you go under it. I mean, I don't know what you can do about that, but it's, whether it's on the, with the Amtrak, when they redo something to create some more.
It's on South Road, here, the train
right there.
is right there, yeah.
Where that water.
Yeah.
So it's,
those choke points that make like using your bike difficult, like, you
Yeah.
can go, I have to go through these,
Dark, scary.
points that are disconnected and is it work?
And half the time it's flooded, so.
Yes.
Flooding is another issue that people have to get rerouted or back up or. So maybe we need to throw some of those kinds of challenges into this.
Yeah, like down here, I mean, it's just tons of water.
yeah, it's concrete,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I saw a car in the last flood. Go through that, wasn't good.
Right, it's just very low. What's going on with the, so.
I'm sorry, we're talking about sidewalks on State Road, that's a completely out of scope.
Not out of scope, it can be recommended, but the town has no. Town has fewer options, I guess.
No, all the sidewalks, and state right away, so responsibility of the town to maintain.
But we just can't put a new one in though.
We can.
Oh, you can.
Not about, not about.
That's your definitely a good idea, but we do, we have actually two projects now where to put sidewalks in front of the Clark Plains, to make that link between Green Drive and the entrance and then up at Bridge Street. There's a missing link there.
In some of these places, like what we were just describing, Route 1, also. Fishtown Road, the right of way may be extremely narrow. And there may be topographical and other kinds of structural challenges.
And that's the route that kids take to school.
So I would say
Okay,
this,
so, yeah.
I'd say this is a high priority because
For
that's,
sidewalks.
that's a school for sidewalks.
Yeah, well, the sidewalk exists right now from Route Run down to the school. It's a nice sidewalk going, but that's about it. There's nothing going south. It stops right at the school.
So for folks living south.
Yeah.
No.
It's grading in right of way. However, if it could be completed, you would have a continuous sidewalk network on this part of town, and that is the gap right there. And it wouldn't just be students that would be using it, would be everyone that lives here would be using this, because it suddenly creates this circuit, this
Everybody
big,
likes to walk through.
this big loop without the space attached to it. Or anything else. I've long looked at it.
Yeah.
And thought, well, I know this is retaining walls and right of way acquisition, but it sure would be worth it to happen.
So I think early on, talking about the state routes and sidewalk gaps, we had mentioned maybe like trying to do a road safety audit with DOT. And I think you guys had mentioned Route 1. Is that where you were thinking?
No, because I think there the solution is pretty cut and dry,
Yeah.
but it's in the urbanized parts of Route 1 where there's a lot of businesses and driveways.
Right, programs, yeah.
Intersections and more pedestrian use within it.
Aren't there?
So as part of the age-friendly plan, we talked a lot about connecting. So the Thrive 55 Senior Center is here. Yeah,
Inside.
right there. And we're doing a lot of development over there and trails, connectivity. So I know there was a desire to link across Route 1 to the Groton Community Center. Again, that would be.
Yeah, I was just talking about from the 117 sign down to this green box right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. there you go.
I did ask DOT about the road safety audit. They're like, tell them to apply. And we got an application from Stonington, which I'd be happy to share with you. It's a couple of effort. Not much. It's just
Before they did the sidewalks.
and we had talked earlier about seeing if DOT would do what's called a road safety audit.
Oh, I know
where-
that.
Okay, yeah, they come out and they, and we were, and Mark and Brian were asking about it, because we do quite a bit of them, and the folks I know at DOT, were, oh, yeah, sure, have them apply. They have funding for them, so.
So what we're interested in is Route 1, really, there's kind of two sections. There's this section that is on east-west sides of the town core, which is where the community center and the library and the senior because Plus is located. There's also a decommissioned elementary school that's been targeted as a community facility, recreation, et cetera, cultural facility. And then there is this section that heads up towards I-95 that is much more auto-centric. And it's all of this. But that is a large area to encompass in a single road safety audit.
Yeah.
So what are the parameters for road
So
safety
they do
audits?
ones, what they call like the longer RSAs. We did one recently up on Route 7, in New Milford. We've done one on Route 5, in South Windsor. So, high volume traffic, a lot of businesses, high speeds, things like that. So I could see that being made if you wanted that to think about that whole area, maybe apply for one of them. And that's something, like New Milford didn't go to DOT and say, hey, we want to be a bigger RSA. DOT and FHI said, hey, looking at the considerations of this makes sense to you.
Okay. I would ask if you could consider including this area in any safety audit. That is the intersection of 12 and Tollgate. And right in here, and you have multiple driveways all entering and a crosswalk. And I've watched people risk their lives just to cross Route 12. It's horrible. And I think that's something, so much of the resources are being devoted here. This is a real problem in the area.
Yeah, now the other thing is,
There
you know about,
there recently, and there was a lady lying in the road that had just been struck
yeah.
by a motor vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, and the other thing is you've got right in this area, right in here, there's a comp of 500 apartments getting built right now.
Yes, which is really going to make things
Yeah,
a challenge.
Well, like I said, mentioned earlier, part of this is like developing some concepts. So maybe that's an area, kind of focus area that we look at. And we will be pulling all of, we already have started to pull the crash data. So we'll develop some heat maps. We'll look at, manner of impact, how are these crashes happening? What's the severity?
Where's the Benny's Plaza? Is this right?
no, I'll be down over it,
So-
right up, here's Walls, so Benny's is right behind.
So one of the things, we're getting a lot of requests on the EDC to promote development in that area, and I know that area is aged, so there's
Right
that is an
Yeah,
area
right there.
likely you could see
Like, this is Gerard.
density infill development. So if you consider that, like how would people who live there get good trails and other things like that, that's probably.
Yeah, you have a number of apartments up in here, but AHEPA, and then Michelle Drive, all that is right, there's a lot of high density apartments right in that area.
There's a brand new bank that went in, did these lovely wide sidewalks, because they
have to,
them. And people are saying they love these lovely wide sidewalks, but it doesn't continue.
Doesn't go anywhere.
They get a lot
Yeah.
of use.
It's a little chopped up.
I think it's 10 feet.
And there is, I think, a seat stop there. There's a bus stop.
Yeah.
In the middle of that plaza.
Yeah, the post office.
I think it's the Benny's Plaza, is that?
We call it downtown. Rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our downtown.
It's really a post office.
Okay.
Really wanted to be.
So really, Route 1 from the center point here at 117 all the way up into Route 12, where you were mentioning, deserves to be studied for safety.
Sure.
So should the town just say, this is our entire corridor and we have these hot spots and.
Yeah,
tell us
that's where
what-
the focus areas.
And you tell us what
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah.
So that should be an application.
Yeah.
From the town. Somebody in the town needs to step up and submit this application. Right?
Yeah.
Because you guys aren't. on the
No,
contract to-
so we can't do the applications, but like I said, I'll send you what Stonington did. It's not much, the requirement is really.
How about what a better example that you have? that you could
Sure,
send us?
I was just thinking Stonington, because you guys know, it's Route 1 in Stonington.
We can go on.
Yeah.
You mentioned 5 though, and 5's pretty.
Yeah,
long.
oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, so like an example, in instances like that, where it's a longer corridor, a lot going on, we might not look at well, we'd certainly drive the whole thing, but we're not gonna get out at every location. So we would, what we typically do is, and what we'll do as part of this as well is, like I said, pull the crash data, start looking at like why some of these things are happening. And obviously, like I can, without pulling the crash data, I can tell you it's gonna be at all your intersections, because that's where you kind of see the highest volumes of crashes.
Would you say that DOT looks at road safety audits as, strong, data sets for funding?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely.
And if this road safety audit while FHI is working for the town, then that gives us extra value. right?
Yeah, I would say.
So we can incorporate it into the recommendation for the project, instead of having after you're done.
Yeah, and you know, we got an application. From. On Monday, that a new town we're gonna be working with, West Hartford, they had just submitted it on Wednesday of last week. So it's not a long, and it's scheduled out to July, we just scheduled it for July, so it's not like, we're not talking about like 9 months from now, we might come see you, it's. Pretty quick process. Any other, you know, we talked about Route 1, any other really priority areas, anything to the north we should be thinking of? I know the schools up in here.
I just wanted to say that, this area does get kind of not overlooked, but if we could make sure that we look, because we need more parks up here, we need more connectivity. There's people of lower incomes up here. I mean, there are people of lower incomes down there too, but I just feel like if we could.
Sure, I know there's some base houses up there as well.
Well, I think people kind of say, oh, someday, so they have all
Yeah.
those facilities, not true. There used to be 2 schools in that neighborhood which had playgrounds. They're both closed, we have no playgrounds. I looked at Charles Barnum today, and it's a pretty sad looking playground that they have as a school. So there is no place, the overlook here is very nice, if you have a car, there's no way to get there unless you're already on the base. So, and the other issue is, when the schools were open, you had a playground on this side and one on this side, you didn't have to connect with Route 12. And now there's nothing. So that's really is the challenge for families in that area, because yes, a lot of this is base housing, but a lot of this is also single family homes, a few duplexes. So you have residents there who are not being served.
I think it would be interesting to see how the demographics have changed in those neighborhoods. Because it's not just needing housing.
That's right.
People live there, so.
Yeah,
It's younger out there than it is, you know,
So it would be interesting to filter, factor that in.
and these people don't tend to come out and speak up for themselves. From experience.
This school right here, is that up in the neighborhood of Fieldcrest?
Yes.
Okay. And Cowhill Road is actually a designated, is it 614? So that's the designated state road? Okay,
There's no place to ride a bike.
the only students that would ever be able to ride to that school are the ones living in Fieldcrest. There's no way, I won't even go on that road out, Cowhill. It's just not,
There's no edge.
and it's just too, line of sight is great. Right, right.
it's aptly named. That's a cow.
Yeah, back in the day, it probably was. Well, what was the state road? To that 614. That's where.
Yeah, some of the names on their map, I don't know where you got them from.
Great.
Great, right. Yeah, I don't know the Kylie name, that's a, you know.
Kylie's always been there. That's what it's back to 1988. I can show you documentation.
Is that right?
Oh, I don't doubt that, I've just never heard it
Yeah,
before.
it's that empty space just to the
Near the
north
library.
north to the senior, it's right 55. The town owns that 5
Oh,
acre
that-
parcel there. That's called technically Kylie property. Not that it's not really a park.
No, I know when I was here and went on the tour, there was some neighborhoods and we talked about how there was some, you know, residents not wanting facilities in their backyard. Is there other, you know, projects that, you know, many people desire or could be a priority, but they haven't really gotten traction, but just for whatever reason, neighborhood opposition or?
Well, this is the one we were referring to right here. Let's see what you looking at. You got a proposed shared use path and you've got the proposed trail overlap there. And this is the one that I think the town has determined is probably not realistic. Because the neighborhood association owns a right of way right there, and they're never going to allow a trail to cross it. So really, I think it might be wise to remove it from the map so that it doesn't raise all kinds of alarms.
Sure. No, and I have that on my notes.
And the eastern shoreline path, which is what is that blue shade. It should, looking to see if you have a blue pen, this music group. It should actually this should go up Groton Long Point Road, and then it should go into Brook Street. It should go into the Clarendon, it should go, so it would do that. That makes sense.
Yes.
That's too bad, because it's real.
What this is though, is it's an existing hiking and mountain biking trail, so it can be labeled in pink. And there's no argument that it is an existing trail and it gets used as one, but to show it as anything proposed, that's a formal. I think it's just.
Yeah, it's dirt right now, it's gonna stay dirt. It's really a Groton Utilities right away area. Yeah, and they're the actual owner of it.
Yeah, there's no need to stir that.
And that just kind of ends. That just kind of like, it goes a little bit and then it ends.
Well, this is connecting to the group, and that's existing, and that, so.
Right.
So your proposed.
But that existing dirt, that.
The neighborhood has a lot.
Oh.
I have a fence in the lot.
Yeah,
Actually, the gates are,
gate and
the gates have been open.
Okay.
They're open, you can go through, I ride a bike through there all the time.
yeah, the block is to get onto their streets. That's where the gate is, and so you can't get on from here onto the streets. But they actually, Groton Utilities took out the gate that they had there now, so it's much more accessible.
It's a right of way owned by the utility. They brought it. But this is the barrier, that right of way that is owned by the neighborhood. So they'll never allow.
The Buffer Co-Association.
Yeah, they're a private association.
Any other constraints?
Sure. We haven't talked about River Road.
Oh, yeah.
So it is probably the most used scenic.
We were, I remember it was beautiful.
Biking and walking. Yeah, it's maybe not a commuter route necessarily, but I see you have it labeled as a state proposed bike network, and I don't remember it showing up on the map, but maybe you could add that as a local road. That's a local road, and it's not a state road, but it's on your map as state proposed bike network, so you should check that, but
Designation.
check the designation, which is fine. In fact, I'm glad if they are recognizing it as part of their network, because that helps give it more, credibility as a bicycle facility. But it has issues like speeding, flooding. It's a narrow roadway, but people are walking 2 to 3 abreast on it, and people are biking boots on it. And the neighbors who live there would prefer if there was slower speeds. So we've talked to a lot of neighbors since we've been there to county traffic and doing events. And apparently Google Maps and ways and you send people on their way to the back and forth between the casino and the state. That road is a shortcut. And so I think the town is interested in studying the flooding areas.
Yeah, money in the year's budget coming out. The 2 cross culverts to raise the road, place the culverts.
Yeah, it's also an old roadway, pavements in deteriorating condition, particularly for cyclists who are much more sensitive to, bumps and potholes and vehicles are. So, but like Bike Ryan, for example, wouldn't want that road to be repaved without at least being studied for any improvements that could make it better for bicycles. If there's anything to change the way it's striped or to perhaps widen it in places, but I know that. Yeah, we're interested in common and innovative recommendations on how more.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole length, yeah.
The whole thing.
It's also designated scenic roads in the town, so they changes have to go through the town council. It's
Because of that.
Extra administration.
it's extra review.
Section on the road where the town patched where the cyclist crashed 2 years ago, got injured. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Well, it's
that's one of the culverts you're looking at.
it's low, 20,
Because I think it's flooded.
30.
It's a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has there been any discussion or consideration of doing something with Military Highway?
So it's not
Speaking
on
of
this- on
scenic,
that map over there.
okay. Because that would offer such an opportunity if it were safe enough for pedestrians.
Well, you don't have a lot to work.
That work is a high priority under the region
Oh, okay,
for
great,
under us.
yeah, because it just. It's a wonderful stretch, but it has its.
Challenges, a lot of challenges.
I'm coming into this a little late, but I'm wondering why Farquhar Park, which is a pretty heavily used park, doesn't seem to be connected on previous, like, shared use. So I'm not sure why this goes that way.
Well, you just traced the Tri-Town Trail,
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
and this is entirely Tri-Town Trail symbolism. And so there really hasn't been any kind of bike route designated for 117 going north. The north-south connections are, I think, they're weak. And it's not because you don't. Well, this is recommendation from the previous plan. But we should probably be thinking more about those north-south connections that you point out. And there are, there's 117 and there's 614 to a point where it becomes dangerous. Flanders Road is actually a much better. Flanders Road.
Yeah.
But it's a light blue alternate route. So there's your alternate route that perhaps should come all the way.
Flanders actually goes all across.
So this
Yeah.
alternate
Right.
route should come all the way down to Route 1. Yeah. That's a good road. in
That's a
terms
question,
of-
like,
it's just-
why?
Yeah, it's already got the wide shoulders.
Yeah,
and it-
shoulders.
Yeah.
Standard. Mm.
You know, the problem is when you get down to the end of Flanders,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
you don't have any connectivity again here. This is ugly.
Right, but we've identified it as
Yeah,
very neat, so without putting it.
tie it together.
Um,
But you're putting notes on this one and not on that one. Did you make a note about Military Highway?
Sure.
Okay.
I got it on here too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll take all of them and
All
we'll.
right.
It looks like Flanders
Because
Road,
that'll take you right up to the overlook.
low priority, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
So moving forward, that maybe goes from a low priority to a higher priority. Planners.
Okay, yeah, where I'm a little confused is these maps have the same title, but they have different content. The recommendation for previous plan.
Yeah, so this is from, only one of the plans.
That's those cogs,
Yeah, so it's kind of like.
and this has
continuation.
a little bit more on it.
Yeah, this is less specific to the type of facility and more just what the regional priority routes are. This gets more into like this does have the SCOG recommendation, but it tells you what type of facility that they remember.
And then what's the difference of what's this one? This is from the PLCD.
Yeah, so that's just showing the green belt expansions.
So yeah, they.
Yeah, that's more for
Desire lines.
wildlife and all that type
Yeah.
of stuff and,
Oh, yeah.
and forest coverage areas.
Yeah, so
And areas that we wanted to be putting in open space.
And what's under, is it the existing,
yeah, that's just existing.
that's under its existence, but not existing. So
Yeah, I didn't want to try to. this on that, it's already getting a lot of plans happening in the area.
Notice you're also showing, which is fine, the city, but just to emphasize, that's not part of the plan.
Mhm. I would just double check the parts. Trails too.
So I'm gonna have to bring this up, but I just spent a month in Spain riding bikes like every day. And what I noticed, a lot of places where bikes and cars are occupying the same space and everybody's getting along, is that many of the roads that are not really heavily traveled have no center line stripe. That's like a standard over there. It's to say, this is not a heavily traveled road. It's narrow, so it's not 24 feet wide. It's not even 20 feet wide in some cases. Therefore, a center line stripe is going to confuse everyone. So they don't put a stripe on it. And it really forces everyone to slow down and kind of take their turn in some cases. And it was just remarkable how the psychological effect it seemed to have on people driving cars is that they, and maybe it's just.
It's a driveway as opposed to a roadway.
It's like a driveway as
Or a speedway.
or as opposed to a roadway.
Usually like something that's happening.
And it just worked, but we have this aversion to allowing a more mixed, kind of run personality here. We want to compartmentalize, and I know it's engineering guidelines and it's everything else, but the town has more authority over local roads. Can't do this on a state road, but on a town road. Like on River Road, for example, there may be things that could be built besides a yellow center line that shoves everybody to one side or the other at 35 miles per hour. So there's something.
Yeah, part of, I mentioned we'll develop that to what we call the toolbox, but it'll lay out what types of facilities are appropriate where, based on the volumes, guidance from DOT and the MUTCD. But there's things like shared roadways that, like Brian mentioned, don't have the center line. Sometimes they have marked wide shoulders, but leave enough room for the cars to get through. There's, bike boulevards. There's a variety of different types of facilities that we'll be thinking about and showing examples of and providing that guidance and identifying where those make sense on this. And that's a great point. That's the center line. And I know, again, DOT has its guidance, it's things you have to do, but with the town's local roads, there's some flexibility.
Brian, you said you've been down on River Road and talking to the residents down there. What do they propose that the speed limit drop to?
Well, they don't, they don't know.
Yeah.
They just know that people are driving
Too
fast and too fast. And, there's some people are saying, well, kind of the default solution that many people think of is speed bumps. And there are a lot of problems with speed bumps, and they have to do with snow removal and also just the fact that some people tend to speed up.
I mean, because it is designated scenic on both ends, you really shouldn't be going on that road if you want to make up time somewhere. You should be on Route 27, going down that way. That's a nice, River Road is scenic. You should be taking your time and not going above.
Yeah, the problem is, I think as long as, like you said, is the ways and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You just get directed that way. You don't care. You don't know what's going on.
Driving to the water.
I think the speed limit is posted 25.
It is, the whole entire road, 25.
Can't go any lower than that.
And I think
Well-
too, like every, police department we've talked to, they've said, when the speed limits get lower, people doesn't change anything. They're still going
Yeah.
40 or however fast they're going. And that's another thing we'll take a look at too, is what's called the 85th percentile speed and see, where the areas. A lot of times you'll see very high speeds at areas that don't have a lot of intersections, because the intersections, have people stop. But roads like this, I imagine. They shouldn't be.
But that's a good point. I mean, there aren't intersections on it.
You just go. There's no. Yeah, there's nothing stopping, sure, and anytime it's just straight away or hill, you'll see speeds. Pick up.
Never mind the thrill of driving fast on a road like that. Well, I'm thinking, I remember when I was 16,
Oh, yeah.
that would have been,
Yeah.
put on the accelerator. It wasn't.
Any other opportunities we're not thinking of, or any, other priorities, things that.
I would just definitely highlight the train bridge over here because it's such a choke point that maybe we can refer to it and all work on Amtrak or somebody. Medium and short term doing something because it really segregates the town, like with the flooding underneath the bridge is one thing, but also. There's no walkways on the side. It's just,
The lighting's not great.
and otherwise this ride is really fun. It's, the nice buffers on the side. And if you could get past that, there's a ballpark here, you can get into this area, but with that, it's like.
Yeah.
And there's only one section going under where the pavement is.
Yeah.
Really good. The other side is terrible. That's just.
How much is in your,
Yeah.
are you expecting this contractor to be doing, because that's the road that you're talking about fixing right now.
Yeah, well, their work underneath the train tracks is going to be very limited. Just because at this point, there's limited opportunities. Most of the work is going to be, here, there, and then back across that Depot Road. Route 1.
We work another shoreline, like Clinton, Clinton, Westbrook, Old Line has the same issue with the train. Crossings.
You're doing this part of the work where you're looking at all, at issues that affect people with disabilities or lighting or any of those other things that can make it difficult for people to get about town.
But when we're doing our recommendations, yeah, definitely, we'll look into things like that, like just like you said, the pedestrian scale lighting. Yeah, like when, mapping these, we were really focused on, what's been proposed, what's here, that sort of thing, but our recommendations, when we get to that point, we'll include all things like that.
I think I just noticed, so is this high priority regional trail, that's the correct routing, I think, for Eastern Shoreline?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll use that one.
Now, are you going to differentiate the state roads from the local roads when it comes to making recommendations, because local control is more
Yeah.
flexibility than state control? So, like Nicole was just pointed to 15, that is a high traffic cycle route between Pacific and LA. It's probably one of the heaviest traveled roads in town for bicycles. And there's very little shoulder. And I think that COG they have some recommendations on trying to improve that. But that's a long range kind of recommendation, but it's important, really important.
Also, kids riding their bikes in the summer to the beach in that whole area.
You know what I find interesting, I don't think, is you slow down to 25 and you're warned. And I found that most of the time people are obeying that. I don't know what the psychology is to explain that, but it's Allen Street.
That's right. So there's, when I sit off 95 onto this road and, it's a gateway into this picture. It's 40 miles per hour until you get to the residential area. And then it lowers to 25.
So, and shoulder too.
Nice shoulder and also a separate, continuous sidewalk.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have some flashing lights there, don't they?
it does. And there's
And,
plenty of warning. I think it would be an interesting,
Often
to
one of those
study.
monitors that tells you how fast you're going.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
that's a good deterrent too.
Signs.
But it seems to get received. That's why I mentioned that.
Wasn't there just a fatality on that road?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah, I thought there was someone struck.
Yeah.
On bike. But it was after everything,
A woman was missing
Yeah.
on Allen Street,
yeah, Allen Street.
but I don't think it was the driver's fault. I think, so I don't know for sure what happened, but there wasn't any fingers pointed at bad driver behavior. It just seemed to be a bad accident.
And how recent?
Actually, she ran into the car.
Oh, thanks, Janet.
Or it's not her too, I just didn't want to speak that out. It was about, a couple months ago.
Okay.
Right, well, I was still
Okay.
there.
Yeah, we have the state's data through the end of 2022. We don't even have 2023 yet. They take a while to compile that.
It's not an e-bike.
Yeah.
Might have been unfamiliar with the controls of the bike.
That's right.
I had another question.
I'll just throw out, so I was actually talking with some of her friends. It was her first time on an e-bike and going down that stretch where people are going fast and potentially she was.
You know, speaking of e-bike, maybe think of things like scooters. Is that, do you see anybody on scooters here?
We see people on scooter.
Okay, but it's, yeah, I know that, I know that this, yes, program.
What scooter you balance on or a scooter, what kind of scooter?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
stand
Stand on?
Electric ones, yeah.
I was literally behind a guy this morning. It wasn't a scooter, it was more of a. It was a big scooter. But he was just going all over the road and then let me pass him, but that was only one.
Just wondered the beach communities, and things like that. That type of.
Not so much here.
Did you do any mapping of bike racks or bike facilities? Those
Oh,
kinds of
amenities?
things?
No, I don't think we haven't done any. Is that, and Mark, this might be something that you would know, if there's a, you know,
And the index.
mapping of, you know, where the bike racks are.
So. I mean, I think it's something we could work on.
Is that detailed at all in the master plan?
I don't. I'd have to look at the level of service analysis to see if they singled out bike racks.
We can take a look too. I mean, I don't know, that's not gonna be thousands.
The newly installed ones right at the Great Plains.
I mean, there's gonna be a bike.
Up there,
Yes.
brand new.
Yes, and we are intending on adding more in other places.
There's like they look like a bicycle, right?
Oh, that must have been.
Yeah.
I think I was out is there a bike rack at every part of it?
Midwest.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It just might be a little, because there's a lot of developments that happen and then our parks have them, but we haven't.
No, we don't have an inventory where they exist.
I guess along with that would be benches. That would also be a amenity.
Lighting.
Well, the lighting is all available, that's all the streetlights are already a no.
Yeah.
And they're already on the GIS.
Any other, you know, priority areas or any other constraints that should mention any that
Housing developments, maybe you want to. Public and commercial housing developments.
I can't remember his name right now. Maybe someone else does it. The owner of the Pedigo place. I talked to him when he was moving out because we discussed trying to keep him in town and his issue was he opened his business there and he thought that people were gonna rent bikes and be able to get to trails around there. So he's gonna have some good input as to why he thinks that wasn't happening or whether it's something that you can incorporate into your planning and things like that. But I don't know whether he ended up moving somewhere else in Groton. They're trying to keep him here, but when he opened at that location, and that's right near the town hall. Yeah. Yeah, right in this, the theory was that he was close enough to all this and bike rentals was gonna be a big component of his income, and it didn't pan out that way, but so.
Can you just say the name one more time of it was a business?
Yeah, Pedigo, he was a Pedigo.
E-bike,
E-bike.
retailer and renter.
Yeah. And
It's a franchise.
It is,
So.
and it failed.
And is he still around? Is he somebody?
That's what he is.
Yeah, I could get you in touch. I just can't remember the name of.
Sure, yeah, no, that's-
I'll give you
yeah.
the information, but he actually did a study before he moved here, and it was the rental income from bikes in the summer that was gonna drive his business, and it, you know. I don't know if I think there might be information that could help.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a trail issue or COVID issue or a combination of everything, but.
Because one of his guided tours was Bluff Point, which is, you know, tough for people who aren't familiar with it.
Well, no.
It sounded like a good idea.
Deep, totally can't, e-bikes are not allowed for the state parks.
Hmm.
So he didn't understand that, he wasn't gonna be able to run through.
There was gonna be a state park. You could have.
Fine, thank you. Okay, yeah, thanks for coming. Nice meeting everybody. I like it. Thank you for your input. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, Nicole, any questions that you might have? Nicole's been spearheading most of the mapping.
No, I think that's helpful, everything you said, I think, yeah, the comments on the map will definitely help me coordinate with what I was jotting down, so.
The only thing I see kind of weird is I don't understand where all this came from. What the source of all these recommendations around Candlewood Hill.
So that is.
I don't know, it says alternate route, I think it's.
So that's the tri-town master plan, and I think they had a couple different like alternatives.
Okay, so you're saying for the tri-town, instead of going up this way, that's the.
Yeah,
okay.
well, it's just another
I don't remember
route
saying
or
those.
something.
Okay. They don't look that current. That's all I think.
I think those were so subjective or speculative, be the word, that they probably don't belong on the
Okay.
maps. Because this is really the,
The
this is
focus
the
has been-
focus is always connected to the cop property and
Right.
the.
But I think you did note Flanders being,
Yeah, the continuation up here, I think is good.
okay.
I'm just saying, it's just all this stuff in here, because this stuff has gotten, things have changed since that plan in 2009, that these really haven't become available. Yeah,
And
yeah, you go through the landfill.
that's not correct either.
Yeah,
It's on the resume.
Flanders was separate.
Yeah, I don't know what, this is like, it's a regular trail, I don't know.
That red mark needs to be removed, because that's Groton Utilities land, and that's not.
Yeah, that should be, it can be a continuation of the Tri-Town Trail dotted up here, is what that should represent it.
There's no existing public use. So.
Yeah, and it's proposed to go through, to continue up there on that side.
Is, you know, you said proposed, but is that like a non-starter with the utility? I know
Well,
sometimes.
it's not a dead issue, let's put
Okay,
that.
okay.
It's a long-standing one.
It's a long-standing issue,
There's
but it's not
some
dead.
that like, no, not happening.
No, this part,
Maybe.
I'm putting my Tri-Town Trail Vice President hat on. I can tell you that this is the path that we're focusing in on, okay? And going across, this part going across the land, landfill. Yeah, landfill is, it's not gonna happen either. Because they have, you can tell you about that. There's a solar field going in there. There's a solar field now going there. Okay. anyway.
Yeah, well, anything that we
Yeah.
can remove
Yeah.
clarity will help us too, because.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I can throw in Candlewood Ridge, so I'm sitting here pointing at it with my pointer, which won't help. Tilcon, it's actually owned by the state. And they would really like to keep it as a wildlife management area and reduce traffic.
So while those trails, you have a valid, these are all came off on all trails or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
you know, but the state doesn't really want any advertisement of that and all this kind of, because it's a designated wildlife management area now, as opposed to recreational area.
So should they remove the trail? definitions.
Here again, the trails can stay, but we're not advertising them per se. I don't
But
know
if-
what the difference is there.
If I wanted to go out there and walk.
You can go walk on that trail and it's posted, there's hunting and everything else.
Okay.
They're not marked. Good luck.
Yeah, the trail, that's about, there's no markings on
It's
the
really
trail.
pretty back there.
It's very beautiful, but you're not gonna see a marked
Okay,
trail.
but you wouldn't
They're
get
unmarked
Kicked out
trails.
if you were.
Yeah, you're not gonna get kicked out and you can be there, okay? But yeah,
No, I
But
wasn't
you're on your own.
curious, I was just.
You're on your own and the
Yeah.
trails are not marked or maintained.
Yeah.
But other than the bikers going around it. So just,
So do we leave it or to Brian?
Well, no, it's,
Leave it.
yeah, I didn't leave it. They're
Yeah.
available, but I just point that out.
Town, the park and recreation map, the trails map.
No, they're not.
No.
They're not.
It's not town.
It's not town land. That's like these trails are all maintained by Groton Open Space and stuff, so. And they would like to hook up and all this kind of stuff, so this proposed hookup here, that can stay, because they're interested, because they're looking at potential purchases and all this kind of stuff. They've also purchased this land, that is new, and there's gonna be, they're putting in trails in here as soon as it gets surveyed. They'll be adding a trail on, I can tell you right now, they'll be adding a trail in there. It already
Yeah.
exists.
And it's very close to 117 and there will be some small parking there.
Okay.
Yeah, this section, there's a parking lot right here right now. On 117. And there'll be a trail going into here and then connecting everything over to here. And potentially all the way down to here,
Wow.
depending how the survey comes. So that's all, Groton Open Space is responsible for that.
One more thing to keep your eye on is what the state's doing with the Gold Star Bridge.
Okay.
They promised to improve the access up onto the bridge.
So we have to look at it.
Yeah, and then they've also promised to create a full multi-use pathway, like a 10-foot wide pathway.
Yeah, I had a meeting with you a few weeks ago, and it's moving forward.
Okay.
What's happened to the boat launch there? Is that closed permanently?
Probably close because of construction on the northbound bridge.
Yeah, it's a staging area for the state.
I know, it's been going on for a long time.
It's
That's
been,
why I
yeah,
wondered.
all last year it was closed, now this year it's still closed, so.
And that trail, that multi-use trail that ends where that circle is got there. That there's actually a small piece of ground utilities put in, and then the developer for Triton Square is connecting that piece to the end of South Pleasant Valley Road. So then really get to the neighborhood would be the last link to get to 95.
Right in here. I'm not sure, maybe you can draw. I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not aware of that at all.
Boy, that's good.
And if there is a development plan, we could always look at that too.
It's a Walker Hill Road. This ground utilities put in a 10-foot path here. And then the developer that's putting this apartment is going to connect it down to here. So then all that would be left is getting from this neighborhood to the bridge.
To the bridge act, yeah, it's just this section right in here, that street right there is still TBD. As far as it's walkable and drivable, because it's just a local street. And it's not, but it's not. marked.
But there's
Other
currently
than
a
at this
path to
end.
the bridge.
There
What?
is,
Right.
if they're going to improve it and make it ADA accessible, I guess they got to do some of the grades on it.
That sounds great.
Once you get onto the street, it's not bad, but it's getting from here to here, there's a lot of.
I remember when we drove down there.
No
too, we had an angle.
sidewalks, there's
We were
no,
wondering
yeah,
if the
there's no
bus could even
sidewalks,
make it.
there's nothing down there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of on the hill.
Yeah.
Too.
You know, that apartment complex is at how many units?
That's
Five.
huge.
How would you say?
It's over three.
And anybody that wants to walk to the business, they're gonna be in the intersection that you
Yeah,
mentioned. That's
Gonna be fun.
just to get to the grocery store.
Be very, definitely.
Really-
Heavily impact.
That's high priority.
Right.
And there's some squirrely little way area too, and Taco Bell and people always trying to make a U-turn, that go through Taco Bell and then get on the highway.
Or going into Subway from the left lane or from,
Yeah.
it is a mess of spaghetti.
All right, well, I think we made some great progress here. Any other last points, anything you should be thinking about?
Great, and
One
yeah, you,
last
I
point.
think you all have my, sure.
I think we talked about taking the city out of things, but make sure that golf course is still in consideration, because that is our lane.
Yeah, we wanted to just include this stuff just to show, you know, how the kind of the overall network.
Well, that's good.
One thing I actually, I remember when I was mapping, I was not confused, but there was just a lot going on near that, that urban neighborhood, yeah, on a different map.
So this is gonna have the community connectivity.
Correct.
Sharrows.
There's a couple things proposed like around, and I know there's that, like, there's a multi-use path here as well. I can't read from where I'm at, but there's, on this, what is this road right here? That has a bunch of stuff marked on it. Okay, so is there any like clarity on, what facility is being aimed toward for that? Or, cause I know there was a few like recommendations.
It's just an overlap, you see overlap in the facility, but it's really just on street striping, sharrows and signage.
Okay.
There's some roadways like enough. Accommodate more than that.
Okay,
I mean, it may be signed for Tri-Town Trail and for Eastern Green, Shoreline Path eventually, this all may overlap there, but as far as the physical improvement, it's just sharrows and signage.
Yeah, the only other thing was, you've got the proposed stuff coming through Washington Park here, which gets you on the Crosstown Greenway. It's, the only thing you're missing is this section right in here. And the city is working this, getting the easements and the trail edge. Like I said, this trail is already, a portion of it is here on the pink. The city is gonna be, actually owns this parcel already, to get over to here. And then, all this stuff is all available. It's all, you can hike all the way up to about, just past up to about here, and then there's the city. This is all city property, and then there's this one section in here that's a town property here to get you up. So there is a potential trail all the way through here, and that's on that on the master plan for the Crosstown Greenway.
Okay.
So they should map the both ways
Yeah,
clearly, right?
yeah.
Because this one.
I think I sent you the Greenway map, but didn't I, a while ago?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it continues.
And I don't mean to sound like I'm beating up on Amtrak, but they got a problem here and here. These two bridges, when Amtrak is extending Shoreline East or doing whatever, or any of those funding things, they create a, you know, a bridge that, you know, you have bike lanes and sidewalks underneath it would transform the access from different sides of the town. I mean, that's a long, I know it's a big ask and it's not gonna happen overnight, but I think if you identify it as a major issue, sooner or later someone will listen, because it, especially, yeah, right here, getting the, you know, to the sub base here, down Military Highway, and then like I've said over here, it's just is what it is, but.
One more. The Aquanic Plains Boardwalk, Aquanic Boardwalk. River Boardwalk. I know, and I don't know much, but I know that we have grant funding. We're talking about potential changes to it in the future. Is that?
Yeah.
Rebuilding
really
it.
widen it from 4 to 5 feet to 8 feet. If we can.
Keep that in consideration. That's a multi-use path. It is boardwalk, but it's also multi-use.
Oh, the one that goes out. Yeah.
I think we went down there.
Yes,
We
we
looked at it.
took you down to the start of it.
Is that this right here?
Yes,
Okay.
that purple. Yeah.
And that's on route for, yeah. Eastern.
Yeah. It's just widening it and it's a long term. It's in the dream list, the wish list.
Well, we have over $1 million.
Yeah, we just got our statements. Grant, just gotta finalize the funding for it.
Yeah. Okay, for design and construction, so
Okay.
hopefully for $1 million, we can do something.
I think it's a prime site. I take guests there.
No, it's a beautiful
It's so
thing.
unique.
If you already have the piers and all this kind of stuff, it's really just redesigning the construction to handle the wider. The right of way is already owned and the piers are already there and it should be able to. For the widening of it. It's right now, you just can't get a bicycle and a person there together. It's either one or the other.
It's a nice safe route, so you don't have to go Depot Road.
Right, yeah.
Contend with all the speeding.
So is that a separate RFP for a structural analysis by a structural?
I was gonna say, you need.
Yeah,
structural-
that's what we're working on now. That would be the first step, is to determine. Tom said if the piers are still structured sound enough that we could cantilever out closer to the water or
That's a
whatever.
reasonable ask. I've looked underneath those and those are, they did a good job the first time around. They just,
Yeah, but they
it was-
are also 25 plus years old.
right, so they're up for just for the age of the wood and stuff. They're coming up to their intended life. So.
All right, well, I think that was productive. That was helpful for us. Thank everybody. Thank you for making the time to come out. And I think you all have my emails. If you think of anything else, please email us, and myself, Nicole, Francisco, and others from FHI will continue to work on this. So this is great. You're good, Nicole? No, I think so. Yeah. Good, yeah. Now I'll take this back. It'll be good to be able to like simplify now that we know, but. And we take it off.
You guys did a really good job.
Yeah, very good job. Thank you.
Something. Put down at 5:10.
You can adjourn the meeting.
Technically I do, but I'll just write it in.
Oh, we don't adjourn or anything.
Oh, or it's 5:06. I think he already did because he's got his jacket on. He's leaving.
Brian, do you want to adjourn the meeting?
I move that we-
We're still recording.
Yeah,
It's really helpful. They looked at that going.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, it'll be.
He can share this, Mike.
Yeah, sorry. So we haven't officially closed the meeting.
That's why he's here. You can use this one. Very good. It's just the three of them.
Go back to the regular calendar.
You need a motion?
Well, I'm waiting for them.
Okay.
What?
Okay, back to the meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.